Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Life Talk English. I'm Nico.
And I'm Elisa.
Picture this. You've just walked into a new office. The coffee machine is humming in the corner, papers are shuffling, people are typing away. And there, at the far end of the room, is your boss. You know you need to introduce yourself. Easy, right? Well, this might be harder than it sounds.
Because the words you choose and even the tone you use do make a big difference. Do you say, "Hi, I'm here to work for you," or do you try something a little smoother, like, "Good morning, I'm excited to be joining the team"?
Exactly. And don't worry, we're going to walk you through this step by step. Liking what you hear? Hit that like button and subscribe to join us for more, but only if this is your kind of learning.
And while you're at it, let us know in the comments. Where are you listening from and what time is it right now? I'm always curious about that.
Now, settle in, maybe grab a notebook or just relax with your headphones on, and let's ease into today's English journey together.
So let's talk about that very first hello. You might be in London, you might be in New York, but either way, the first words out of your mouth matter.
In American offices, you often hear something like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm your name." Straightforward, friendly, a little casual.
Whereas in Britain, you might lean a touch more formal. "Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm your name." Notice the good morning instead of just hi.
Right. It sets the tone. Now, here's the key. Your boss is not just another colleague. You want to be polite without sounding robotic.
Let's play this out. Imagine you're the new employee. You walk up, you smile, you say, "Good morning, Mr. Smith. I'm looking forward to working with you."
That's polite, warm, and safe. Compare that with, "Hey, what's up?"
Not a great first impression.
Unless your boss is super casual and greets you that way first. But honestly, it's safer to start formal and then adjust later.
Exactly. Start at the polite end of the spectrum. You can always relax your language as the relationship develops.
Here's a little cultural note. Americans often prefer direct friendliness, while British bosses may appreciate a touch of humility. Neither is right or wrong. It's just about adjusting your style.
Think of it like shaking hands. In the US, a firm handshake is common. In the UK, it might be a little lighter, but still polite. Same action, different feel.
Oh, and tone of voice. If you mumble "morning" while staring at the floor, you might come across as shy or even uninterested.
Whereas looking someone in the eye and saying clearly, "Good morning, nice to meet you," sends confidence and respect.
Okay, Nico, let me test you. If you were new in a British company, how would you greet your boss on your first day? I'd probably go with, "Good morning, Miss Johnson. Thank you for welcoming me to the team."
Nice! Polite, but not over the top. Now let's flip it. Imagine you're in a US tech startup, jeans and sneakers everywhere. What would you say?
I'd keep it simple. "Hi, I'm Nico. Excited to be here."
Perfect. Both versions feel natural, just tuned differently.
So, learners, here's your challenge. Practice saying these lines out loud. Try the formal version and the casual version.
Record yourself if you can. Do you sound clear? Do you sound friendly?
And if you smile while saying it, your voice will naturally sound warmer.
That's a lovely trick. And hey, if you make a mistake, like you say, "Good evening" at 9 a.m., just laugh lightly and correct yourself. Everyone does it.
Yeah, I once said "Happy Friday" on a Monday morning.
That's great. It actually shows you're human, not a robot.
So, to wrap up this first part, first impressions with your boss are about polite words, clear tone, and respectful body language.
Whether you're in London or Los Angeles, starting a little more formal is safe. Then you can adjust once you know your boss's style.
And practice those sample greetings, formal and casual. They'll be your safety net.
All right, ready? Because in the next section, we'll look at how to ask your boss polite questions, like when you need help or clarification without sounding pushy.
Okay, so last time we talked about making a good first impression with your boss. You've introduced yourself, you've smiled, maybe you even remembered their name. Now comes the next challenge, asking questions politely.
And honestly, this is where a lot of learners feel nervous. You don't want to sound rude or too direct, but you also don't want to sound like you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. It's a balancing act. Think of it like walking across a narrow bridge. You want to get to the other side without wobbling too much.
I like that image. So let's give our listeners some real tools here. For example, if your boss gives you an assignment and you're not sure about one detail, what can you say?
In American English, you might hear, "Could you clarify what the deadline is?" Or, "Would you mind explaining that part again?" These are polite, but not too stiff.
And in British English, you'll often hear something like, "I'm sorry, could I just check the deadline with you?" Or, "Would it be all right if I asked for a little more detail?"
Notice the British version adds a touch of softness. "I'm sorry. Would it be all right?" It's a cultural way of keeping things gentle.
Right. And it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It's just the style. Like in the UK, people often say sorry even if someone else bumps into them.
True. I was once in London and someone stepped on my foot. I said, "Sorry," even though it wasn't my fault.
That's very British of you.
So, learners, here's your phrase set. American, "Could you explain that again?" British, "Sorry, could I just check that again?" Both are polite. You can use whichever fits your workplace.
Now, let's talk about tone. Imagine you say, explain that again. Flat voice, no please. That can sound bossy.
But if you say, "Could you please explain that again?" with a smile, your boss will hear respect.
Here's the trick. You can raise your intonation slightly at the end of the question. Like, would you mind repeating that?
Yes, that upward tone makes it clear you're asking, not demanding.
Let's role play. I'll be the employee, you be the boss.
Okay, I've just told you we need the report finished by the end of the week.
Thanks, Elisa. Could you clarify, do you mean Friday afternoon or Sunday evening?
Perfect. Clear, polite, and you'll actually get the answer you need.
And listeners, don't be afraid of sounding like you don't know something. Good bosses prefer questions at the start rather than mistakes at the end.
That's a golden rule. Ask early, save yourself trouble later.
Now, let's tackle small requests. Imagine you need a day off for an appointment. How do you ask politely?
American style, would it be okay if I took next Friday off for a doctor's appointment?
British style. I was wondering if it might be possible to have next Friday off for a doctor's appointment.
That little phrase, "I was wondering if it might be possible," is like adding a cushion to your words.
Exactly. It softens the request, like putting a pillow under something heavy.
Nice image, and it works. Another good phrase is, "Would it be possible for me to—" That's universal, works in both American and British workplaces.
Let's try it. Would it be possible for me to leave a bit early tomorrow?
Very polite. Compare that with, "I'm leaving early tomorrow." That one, not so polite.
Unless you're the boss.
True.
Okay, cultural note here. Americans sometimes appreciate straightforwardness, but it still needs to be respectful. Could I leave at 3 p.m. tomorrow? Is short, but fine.
Whereas in Britain, a little softening often feels more natural. "Would you mind if I left at 3 p.m. tomorrow?"
Same idea, just wrapped in more politeness.
And here's a motivation tip. Don't think of polite language as weakness. Think of it as strength. You're showing respect and professionalism.
Yes, and respect makes bosses trust you more.
Learners, here's your practice exercise. Take one real-life question you've asked before, maybe about deadlines or time off, and rewrite it in both American and British polite style.
Then say them out loud. Notice the difference in rhythm. The British one will probably feel longer, but softer.
And if you're working in an international company, you might even mix the two. A little directness plus a little softening. That's a winning combo.
Before we move on, let's add one fun note. Humor
can sometimes help. If you ask a question nervously, you could even smile and say, "I'm sorry if this is a silly question, but could you explain that part again?"
Bosses usually appreciate honesty like that. And honestly, sometimes what feels like a silly question isn't silly at all. It's smart.
So don't hold back. Ask politely, and you'll actually look more professional, not less.
And that brings us to our next step. We've covered greetings and polite questions. Next up, how to give updates to your boss without sounding boring or lost in details.
Yes, this is a big one because reporting progress is almost an art form in English.
And we'll show you how in the next section.
All right, listeners, we've met the boss, we've asked our polite questions. Now comes the next challenge, giving updates.
Oh, yes. This is where you really show your boss that you're reliable. If you can explain your progress clearly, you'll look professional. If you ramble or get lost in details, you might confuse them.
Exactly. Imagine your boss asks, "How's the project going?" That's a pretty common question. What do you say?
Well, you don't want to panic and say, good? That doesn't give them any information.
True. And you also don't want to go on for 10 minutes about every single detail. The sweet spot is somewhere in the middle.
Let's break it down. In American English, people often go straight to the point. The project is 80% finished, and I'll complete the last part by Thursday. Clear, short, efficient.
In British English, there's often a little softening and sometimes more context. The project is coming along well. We've finished most of the tasks, and we expect to complete the last section by Thursday.
Notice the difference. Same facts, but slightly different wrapping.
Right. One sounds a little sharper, the other sounds a little smoother. Neither is wrong.
Okay, let's give our listeners a little formula. Ready?
I'm ready.
Formula for updates. Status plus next step plus deadline. That's it.
Example, the report is almost finished. I'm editing the final section now, and I'll send it by Friday.
Perfect. 3 pieces. What's done, what's next, and when.
Let's try another one. Elisa, pretend I'm your boss. How's the client presentation going?
The slides are ready. I'm practicing the delivery, and I'll be ready for tomorrow's meeting.
Nice. Short, clear, and confident.
And learners notice the tone. Don't mumble or sound unsure. Even if you're still working, you can sound positive. For example, I've completed the research and I'm working on the summary. It should be ready by next week.
That should be ready is polite, but also realistic.
Exactly. It's okay not to be done yet, as long as you explain where you are and what's next.
Here's another cultural note. In the U.S., bosses often appreciate straightforward numbers. We've increased sales by 10% this quarter. Numbers show results.
In the UK, bosses may prefer balanced statements with both progress and challenges. We've seen a 10% increase in sales, though we're still working to improve customer feedback.
Same result, but presented with a touch of balance.
And this makes sense. British communication often values understatement. Americans are often more comfortable with enthusiasm.
Here's a quick example. American, the project is going great. British, the project seems to be going quite well.
Both mean things are good, but one sounds a little more excited, the other more measured.
And if you're not sure which style to use, start neutral. The project is on track, we're meeting the deadlines. That works anywhere.
Yes, and remember our formula. Status, next step, deadline.
Okay, let's role play again. Elisa, you're the employee, I'm the boss.
Got it.
Nico, can you give me a quick update on the new website?
Yes, the design is finished, and the developers are now coding the homepage. We expect to launch the first version in 2 weeks.
Brilliant. Clear, confident, and easy to follow.
And if you don't know the answer, it's okay to say, I don't have the exact numbers right now, but I'll find out and update you this afternoon.
That's actually very professional. It shows honesty and responsibility.
Yes, Never just make something up. That can damage trust.
Now, let's sprinkle in some humor. Imagine your boss asks, "How's the report?" And you say, "Well, it's alive, but barely breathing."
Oh, I've actually heard people joke like that. It can break the tension, but use it carefully, only if you already know your boss's sense of humor.
Exactly. Humor can be risky, but it can also make you more relatable.
Another tip, if you're nervous, you can prepare update sentences in advance. Write down 2 or 3 lines you might need.
For example, everything is on track and we're meeting the schedule. We're facing a small delay, but we've already planned a solution. The first phase is complete and we're moving to the next stage.
Beautiful. These are plug-and-play sentences. You can adjust them for your own job.
And they work across cultures. Just adjust the tone to your workplace.
One last note. When giving updates, don't be afraid to show enthusiasm, but keep it professional. Say, "I'm excited to share that we finished ahead of schedule," not, "Woohoo, we smashed it."
Yeah, that might be a little too much.
Unless your office really loves cheering.
True. Every workplace is different.
So to wrap up this section, remember the formula: status plus next step plus deadline. Be clear, be polite, and adjust your style for American directness or British understatement.
Exactly. And next, we'll tackle something every employee dreads. What to say when you make a mistake. How do you apologize to your boss without sounding weak?
Oh, yes, that's such an important skill, and we'll guide you through it in the next section.
All right, listeners, deep breath. This is the tricky one. You've greeted your boss, you've asked polite questions, you've given clear updates, but now you've made a mistake.
Oh, no. Don't worry. Everyone makes mistakes. It's not the end of the world. The important thing is how you handle it.
Exactly. And apologizing in English at work can feel stressful. You don't want to sound too casual, but you also don't want to sound like you've ruined the company forever.
Yes. Imagine saying, "I'm so terribly sorry. I will never forgive myself." That's a bit dramatic, right?
Yeah, you don't need to write a Shakespearean tragedy. The key is admit the mistake, apologize briefly, and explain the solution.
3 steps. Admit, apologize, solution.
Perfect. Let's show an example. American style. I made an error in the report. I'm sorry about that. I've already corrected it, and I'll double-check next time.
Clear, short, direct. British style might be, "I'm terribly sorry. There was an error in the report. I've corrected it now, and I'll make sure to double-check in the future."
Notice the word terribly. That's very British. It softens and shows humility.
Yes, and phrases like, "I do apologize," or "I'm afraid there was a mistake," are also common in the UK.
Whereas in the US, "I'm sorry about that," or "my apologies" is usually enough.
Okay, let's try role play. Nico, you're the employee. I'm the boss.
Got it.
Nico, I noticed a mistake in the client email.
Yes, I saw that too. I'm sorry about the error. I've already corrected it, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Excellent. Short, clear, no panic. Now let's try the British tone. Nico, I noticed a mistake in the client email.
I do apologize. There was an error in that message. I've corrected it now, and I'll take extra care in the future.
Beautiful. Very polite, very British.
Here's something important. Don't blame others, even if it wasn't fully your fault. Saying, "Well, John told me the wrong information," just makes you look defensive.
Instead, take responsibility for your part. You can say, "There was a mix-up with the information. I should have double-checked, and I'll make sure to next time."
That shows maturity and professionalism.
Now, sometimes your mistake is bigger, like missing a deadline. How do you handle that?
Same formula. Admit, apologize, solution. Example, I wasn't able to finish the report by Friday. I apologize. I'll have it ready by Monday morning, and I'll adjust my schedule to avoid delays in the future.
Excellent. You're not just saying sorry, you're showing action.
Exactly. Action is the key. Bosses want to know what you'll do next.
Here's a cultural note. In the U.S., bosses may prefer a quick, confident apology. Sorry about that, I fixed it. In the U.K., bosses may expect a slightly longer, humbler tone. I'm terribly sorry, there was an oversight, but it's been corrected.
And in both cases, honesty matters. If you try to hide the mistake, it usually gets worse later.
True. I once forgot to send an email, and I thought, maybe no one will notice. Guess what? They noticed.
Yeah, they always do.
So don't wait. Admit quickly, fix quickly.
Another helpful phrase is, thank you for pointing that out. It shows humility and respect.
Yes. Instead of feeling defensive, you turn it into gratitude. Like, thank you for catching that mistake. I'll fix it immediately.
That transforms a negative moment into a professional one.
And let's add a little humor again. Imagine you spill coffee on your boss's paper. Instead of freezing in terror, you might say with a small smile, I'm so sorry, I think your report just had a caffeine boost.
Yes, humor can lighten the moment if used carefully.
But only if your boss already knows you. With a new boss, maybe skip the jokes.
Good advice.
So, to recap, apologize in 3 steps. Admit, apologize, solution. Adjust your style for American or British tone, and never panic.
And here's a motivational note. Making mistakes at work doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're human.
Yes, what matters is how you recover, and by using polite English, you can turn a mistake into a moment of trust.
Exactly.
And next up, we're going to talk about something more exciting, career growth. How do you talk to your boss about promotions, feedback, and your future?
Ah, yes, the big conversations.
And we'll guide you through it in our final section.
Here we are, the final section. We've covered greetings, polite questions, updates, and even apologies. Now comes the conversation many of you dream about, talking to your boss about your career growth.
Oh yes, the where am I going, what's next for me kind of talk. It can feel intimidating, but with the right language, you can handle it smoothly.
Exactly. And here's the truth. Bosses often appreciate when employees show interest in growth. It shows motivation.
But you want to be careful. You don't just walk in and say, so when are you giving me a raise? Last.
Yeah, that's a bit too bold. Instead, you frame the conversation around feedback and future goals.
Let's start with feedback. American style, I'd really appreciate your feedback on my recent project. Is there anything I could improve?
British style, I wonder if you might have any suggestions on how I could improve my recent work.
Same idea, but one is direct, the other softer.
And feedback questions show humility. Bosses think, this person wants to grow.
Right. And after feedback, you can open the door to career growth. For example, what skills should I focus on developing for future opportunities?
That's such a great phrase. It shows you're forward thinking without demanding.
Yes, and in the UK, you might soften it even more. Would you have any advice on areas I could develop for future roles?
Lovely. It sounds thoughtful and respectful.
Now let's talk about asking for a promotion or raise. This is big. Americans tend to be a little more direct. I'd like to discuss the possibility of taking on more responsibility and a potential raise.
Brits might say, I was wondering if we might have a conversation about my future role in the company. More indirect, but still clear.
Notice the phrasing. I was wondering if, or might we have a conversation? It's a gentle entry.
And timing matters. Don't ask for a raise in the middle of a crisis. Pick a good moment, like after a successful project.
Definitely.
Let's role play. Elisa, I'm the employee, you're the boss.
Okay, go ahead.
Now,
Elisa, I've really enjoyed leading the last project. I'd like to discuss how I might take on more responsibility in the future. Could we schedule a time to talk about that?
That's excellent. Professional, polite, and clear.
And now, let's try the British version.
Yes, please.
I was wondering if it might be possible to set up a conversation about my role moving forward, particularly in terms of taking on more responsibility.
Perfect. Softer tone, same request.
And learners, here's a key tip. Always connect your request to the company's goals. Not just, I want more money, but I'd like to contribute more, and I believe I'm ready for the next step.
That shows you're thinking about the team, not just yourself.
Exactly.
And here's a motivational note. Don't be afraid of these conversations. They're a normal part of professional life. If you frame them politely, your boss will respect you for it.
And even if the answer is not yet, you've planted the seed. They'll remember you asked.
Yes, and sometimes they'll give you advice. Work on this skill and we'll talk again in 6 months. That's valuable guidance.
So, let's give our listeners some ready-to-use phrases. Could we schedule a time to talk about my future in the company?
I'd really value your feedback on how I can prepare for more responsibility.
Would it be possible to discuss opportunities for growth?
Beautiful, and you can practice saying them aloud to feel confident.
And don't forget, body language matters here too. Sit up, make eye contact, stay calm, don't fidget nervously.
And smile a little. You're showing confidence, not desperation.
And let's add one lighthearted note. If you feel nervous, imagine your boss is just another human who also spills coffee sometimes.
Yes, they're not superhuman. They've been in your shoes too.
So, to wrap this up, talking to your boss about growth is about timing, politeness, and connecting your goals to the company's needs.
And you can adjust your style, direct and upbeat for American contexts, softer and more humble for British ones.
Exactly.
And now, learners, you've got the full toolkit. Greetings, questions, updates, apologies, and career talks. That's a complete guide to real workplace English.
Which brings us to our final moment, the wind-down wrap-up. Let's ease into it. Well, listeners, that's it. You've made it through 5 full sections of real business English. That's no small achievement.
Absolutely. Think about what you've practiced. You've greeted your boss politely, you've asked careful questions, you've given confident updates, you've apologized gracefully, and you've looked ahead to your future. That's powerful progress.
And we know it's a lot to take in, but remember, learning English, especially workplace English, isn't about memorizing perfect sentences. It's about building habits of politeness, clarity, and confidence.
Yes. And every time you practice even just one sentence, you're training your brain to make those habits automatic.
Let's pause here. Take a slow breath. Imagine yourself back in that office we described at the very beginning. You walk in, you see your boss. Now, in your mind, hear yourself saying those polite greetings.
Then picture yourself asking a clear question, giving a simple update, or even apologizing calmly. It's all possible for you.
Because you're not just learning English words, you're learning how to connect with people.
And connection is the heart of language.
So, wherever you are, in your bedroom, on the bus, or lying in bed with your headphones, know that you've taken a big step today.
We're proud of you, truly.
And as you drift off or close this episode, carry that image with you. A confident, calm you speaking English at work with ease.
The more you practice, the more natural it will feel.
Until next time, keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep trusting yourself.
Good night. Good day. Whatever time it is for you.